God, thank you. It's all good. Hey,
It's good to
Chris.
see you. It's good to see you.
It's
Yeah,
good to
okay.
be seen. How you
Yeah.
doing?
I'm doing great, considering the circumstances, but there are a
Yeah,
lot of other people that are really going through it. So,
that's right.
I'm just really trying to just stay thankful right now because that
Hmm.
seems to be the best distraction because we could sit and worry for a long time. So
You can say
that's
that again.
that's really what I've been trying to do. But thank you and other people like you that have been, I won't even say entertaining us, but giving us things to think about and to talk about and to meditate and to think upon, with what you've been doing. So I really been digging what you've been doing. So thank you for having me on, Mr.
Aw, thank you, Chris. Hey, can you shift a little bit? Maybe I think the lighting behind you, because it's your back is to the window. I can't really see you that good.
Is
That's
that
better.
better?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Man, the gray hair might just be blinding too. That might just
Hey,
be
wait, boy, listen. I got this gray popping in. I was just thinking, I was like, "Ooh, I need some of that spray that you use."
it. Yeah. Shout out to all the barbers that's going through it right now because I know there's some barbers out there like, man, as you talking about that spray, it's a good thing some brothers can't get all that gel and, paint on their head. But then again, shout out to the barbers that's going through it too right now.
That's right. That's right. Well, first of all, I know we don't get to talk that often. And a lot of people don't know that I was your co-host in 2012 on your radio show. Can you believe it's been 8 years?
Shanti, I can't, and we were ahead of our time, I think, and shout out to my girl Monica that told me about you, and I known about hip hop and everything, but even knowing that we could have a chance to work together, and so I got to know you as the personal and the professional. So I'm not surprised with all the things that you're doing now. But yeah, we were doing our thing back then in 2012. I can't believe it's been that long. It seemed like maybe 3 years ago. That's it.
I know. I
Yeah.
know, I know. And I obviously I grew to love you and Erica and David and your family. And congratulations on your beautiful children. They are just, God's gifts indeed. How's everybody handling it over there in terms of the quarantine?
We're all doing good. We're blessed. Not leaving the house for really anything. We have babies and we have, our parents as well that are a little bit older. So just trying to
Okay.
enjoy the fact that we're all here. The fact that, nobody can beat me in stage, tongue down and up, those
Okay.
type of things. So, besides those type of things, just trying to enjoy, enjoy the best moments that we can.
Okay. I didn't know you were Space King. Let me find out.
Come on, man. I'm a problem out here, Shanti. I'm a problem. We done broke up boyfriend, girlfriend, marriages, brothers, sisters. Got people, cheating, talking over the board. We don't care. But I won't get into all my strategy and everything yet. But I'm a problem. When we get back to barbecuing and picnicking, I might, just have to have a space to show people, what I've been up to.
Well, I don't really know how to play. I know my ghetto card is revoked.
Oh,
I don't know how to
what?
play. I know, Chris. I know. It's all good.
Yeah,
Growing up, you know what I played? I played Jim Rummy and Tunk because I learned from my elders.
I was gonna say, where you grew up in the old folks' home, Jim Rummy.
What can I say? I'm a Southern girl. That's what we used to play. But it's all good.
Yeah.
So I have another question I want to ask you. Can you talk about how the quarantine and the pandemic has affected people who really, use live sports as a form of self-care? And first and foremost, let me just say, I know people are dying and things are really dire and severe, but from a psychological perspective, it's tough on the athletes, right? That can't play, that can't compete right now. And the workers that, work in all the stadiums and arenas and so forth. It's tough on them. But it's really tough also on the fans that look to sporting events as a way to release in the form of self-care. Can you kind of talk about what kind of impact that has had on your community in the sports field?
Yeah, Shanti, it's affected everyone. So let's start with the professional athlete. You usually may have more resources or it's more of an inconvenience. Well, I'm not talking about the health-wise. I'm talking about the repercussions of the virus. But then you have those people that are part-time workers at the arena, the ones that we love so much that every game we come into, the vendors. And, people see Steph Curry when at the other arena, he used to shoot that shot and walk into the locker room, and he made sure he gave dap to all the guys that were around him, the security guys. Well, those are the guys that are really going through it, the ones we would speak to and that we have love for, or the freelancers that are, you know, freelance photographers or videographers, those guys, the ones that make the game what it is. Those are the ones that you know are affected the most. So our prayers go to them, and then definitely to the players. And so I tell you what, if anything, it does build an appreciation, you know, of what you had. And I bet that if we get back to the season this year, we're gonna see some intense basketball because dudes have been away from the game they love so much that it's humbled a lot of guys as well. It's like, yeah, you made it to the league, you were big time, but look at this, even you can't play. You're like the high school kid, or you're like the college kid. We're all equal, and right now we're all missing the game. And just bring that love back when you got guys that are passionate and love the game. That's when you get the most out of them. And so I'm excited that when basketball comes back, I think we'll get the best of the best other players.
I think so too. And, you know, I had the good fortune to attend All-Star this year in Chicago. And as you know, there was a big tribute for Kobe Bryant. And, you know, it's still so top of mind and so fresh for all of us. Can you just share some words about, you know, our heavenly brother Kobe now and what he meant to basketball?
Yeah, you know, as you see from how hard it was for me to be able to put a wave and to get online with you, that I'm not really good getting online. And so with Kobe, I really want to express kind of everything, but at the same time, I'm somebody I think that it takes a little bit longer, and I have to really sit back and think about it. And it's just, so as a basketball player, he's the man, you know. To me, he was the closest to Jordan that we've seen because he wanted to check the best defender. He was more about winning and trying to get you involved in the game. And I spent many days and nights with him, and he loved the game as much as being reported. But what I love about, you can't say love about it, what I love that's come out of all of this turmoil is the fact that, you know, immediate gratification was like the thing. You know, like I'm gonna come out of high school and get a Bentley, or I'm gonna, you know, be a billionaire at 19. Things that you can do, but at the same time, work was lost in that. And that's one thing I think with the memories of Kobe, what people are talking about is his work ethic, is the fact that he outworked everyone. It wasn't just, you know, how people talk about maybe Puffy and the fact, you know, yeah, it's fun, or he owns this company, but no one talks about stories of him sneaking into an office and conducting its own meetings. And so I think what Kobe's death shined a light back on is the grind, you know, and how the road is the grind. And that's what faith is about, is no promises. So those vulnerable moments when you know, you're grinding, doing your thing, and no one's around, and you have doubts, and you're praying, you're trying to figure it out. And that's why those things mean so much later, because you went through those vulnerable moments, those lonely moments, those helpless moments where all you could do was call on God or your higher power or family or friends. And so to me, I was surprised that his death shined a light on working again. Like, I had brothers, whether it was working with their daughters or working with their sons, talk about Kobe and how hard you work. It was an extension of like being able to give them another old man example of, oh yeah, you want to be like this, but you got to work like Kobe, you know? And it made it cool again. And that's what I love, because sometimes it looks easy. Sometimes people make it look easy. Like LeBron makes it look easy. We don't know how hard he works behind the scenes. And so I just think it brought that part back out. And I definitely miss him. And my heart goes out to his wife, to his children, to his parents, to his sister. And 2020 started off tough with his death.
Absolutely. You know, again, rest in peace, Kobe, and his beautiful daughter, Gigi. And that Mamba mentality certainly lives on in all of us now. You know, it's no secret that you are a 5-time NBA star, former NBA Rookie Player of the Year, and former #1 overall draftee. So, you know, I was a fan for many years, and I'm just grateful to be able to call you friend now. And as you know, I run my own mental health foundation, Silence the Shame. Can you talk about why it's important for, you know, not only everyday people, but for athletes to focus on their mental health? I know you talked a little bit just now about leaning on your faith, but, you know, really talk about how it can be a struggle at times for players mentally, to have to be able to compete, you know, on the court, off the court, and just the pressures, and for them not to be embarrassed to get help if they need it.
Yeah, definitely. I think mental health has been such a stigma for so long in our community that it's something, you know, maybe in the last 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, we've been able to talk about, you know, but I
Yeah.
know before that, you know, terms were thrown around and it wasn't cool to ask for help, or it wasn't cool to even feel stressed. You just knew that most people died from stress, or it was your appetite, those type of things. For me, it's always been important to have positive people around me. For me, early, that was kind of the therapy that I received. So, say for instance, when I went through some of the worst moments of my life, when I called a timeout at 20 years old,
Yeah.
it was the village that I came home to and how they healed me that really helped shape my perspective. It was my mother saying, you know, well, these things happen and you're blessed and God's going to use your story to tell someone else. You know, it's kind of how you form that narrative. And that's what I really think it's about, having a neutral ear of someone that can listen, call out your BS and say, no, this is what it is, encourage you on the way, but give you a place of reference to help clear those, all the swirling thoughts that go on in your head, to give you some levity, some clarity. Because right now I can imagine how many people are really having a talk with themselves for the first time in a long time while we're sitting at home under this,
That's
you
right.
know, and just think about all the thoughts that go through before you get to forgiveness, whether it's shame, whether it's guilt, whether it's, you know, the things that maybe you didn't like about yourself that you have to address to get out of that darkness. And
That's
so
right.
I really encourage you. You mentioned my brother David that was on our show, and David, I had it on my phone. I was trying to talk to you on my iPad so I could read it on my phone, so I'm going to be terrible at this. But he went to Northwestern University after we did our show and got his master's degree in psychology,
Oh, that's
all that stuff.
amazing.
Yeah, and so he works for the Sage company, and he does a lot of therapy, telecommunication therapy, and a lot of brothers have been reaching out to him. You can ask for him at David Weber at the Sage Clinic. And a lot of brothers, his Instagram is at Dave Vernier. Thank you. My wife produced me on him. And Instagram
Thank
is
you, Erica.
Shanti said what up. She said what up. His Instagram is at Dave Vernier. But it's so many brothers that come to him and that we're ashamed of that. And David being an athlete, and even though he was the best on his team and in the Hall of Fame in Central Michigan, after he graduated and came out, he was depressed as if he had not accomplished anything. And he was talking about how he deals with people with trauma. And I asked him, what is trauma? And he said, trauma is different for everyone. So you could tell someone, get over it, and it could be a traumatic experience that you may think is nothing, and for another person it is big. And he was saying that the fact that how our brains are made up, how we all handle things differently, and when you really understand we're beautifully and wonderfully made, you give yourself a little bit of leeway when you put your thoughts in there, and you don't just blame yourself for certain things. And
That's
so
right.
when you talk about how important it's been very important. And I'm thankful that my brother did what he did, because now I have someone else to lean upon and talk about with it. Even though he's my younger brother by almost 10 years, he's like a big brother in his knowledge. So it's very important. And I would encourage anyone out there. And you said it perfectly, Shanti. Silence the shame. Like, it's not something to be ashamed of anymore. It's as serious as going to the gym, getting 2 hours in and working out. It's a muscle. It's part of your brain. It's okay to make ourselves better. And so hopefully people will do that with self-care.
I love that. Thank you. And I'm so proud of David. You know, I really just took a liking to your family. Like, y'all are just such good people, and the
Mm-hmm.
relationship between you and David is so special. And so I hope that David and I can do some work together too. So I'm definitely going to be reaching out.
I hope so too.
I just
Definitely.
got two last questions for you. So this new, platform, Yeah Wellness, that we're on today, the check-in, it's all about mind, body, soul, and business. Can you give us some self-care tips, whether it's around your mind, your body, your business, your soul, whatever kind of comes to mind? What do you do in terms of incorporating self-care into your daily regimen?
Great. So I think self-care is at all different times. So if it's in the wintertime and it's cold, my self-care is a little different than in the summer because I put on a little more weight in the cold or I do this in the cold, you know. So I would say I have some self-care advice about right now while being under quarantine. Um, I believe one of the best way to accomplish things is to set timetables. Because right now, if you realize, and it happens to all of us, and I'm not preaching, I'm talking about what I have to try to work on and do myself, but the day goes by and the day is over and it just becomes a repeat of itself. And you say, man, whatever I was planning on yesterday to get done, I didn't do. And so in this amount of time, I want to get better, Shanti. So there's small things I have on the list. So I have certain things on my list, just small. Make a time to do it, and I said I'm going to do that by Saturday. Okay, that's one thing. Another thing is that there are some other larger projects that I've made timetables, not necessarily to complete, but to be at a certain point by those, and to also have a regimen during the day. So I made sure that I said I'm going to read a book during the week, or I'm just going to go vegetarian one day a week. And other people, that maybe they're going to go vegetarian every day, but there has to be a purpose, and you have to accomplish something every day because it doesn't allow you to sit in depression. It doesn't allow you to sit in the past and trip over something in the past and say, what if? It keeps you active, and it keeps you with the purpose, almost like that old person that you know that's retired, but they still wake up in the morning, they get out the house every day, like my father, like, man, what you doing? You act like you got a whole life. It's a purpose in that. And so with people, I would say, stay active with that. And then secondly, you know, when we talk about self-care, I would just say, again, set a personal goal. And these are goals that only we know what it is. It's not as simple as or as crazy as losing 50 pounds. It's not as difficult. It could be as simple as, you know what, I'm not going to drink pop or soda after 8 p.m. while we're doing this. Or when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to start saying this mantra to myself. I just think we should look at this as an opportunity. If we looked at this as an opportunity, it's terrible, first of all. This is not the opportunity we want. But since we're here, if we look at this as an opportunity, I just think when we come out of this and we're partying and having fun like you know we're going to do, at least we will have brought something with us besides wasted time or guilt we're going to have there saying, man, you know what, I should have been doing this because that was over quicker than I thought. So I just think it's really about self-care. It's really about setting timetables, limits, and just keep pushing the envelope in this tough time.
That's right. I agree. And I love the way you talked about setting goals because it really is about achieving smaller goals. I think oftentimes we put so much pressure on ourselves, right? And we have these big grandiose plans and ideas. And oftentimes, you know, we fall off the wagon, if you will, and we're not able to accomplish them because it's just too much. So I think, so when I talk to people on a regular basis with the Yeah Wellness check-ins, I always try to give a tip of the day. So my tip of the day today is allow yourself some grace. And you got to be a little bit easy on yourself, and you have to look at some of the goals that you set for yourself. And if you hadn't accomplished them, you know, talk to yourself about it, you know, write it down, journal about it, and set some new goals. But it's tough. It's hard right now. Some people don't even know how they're going to pay their rent. And so, you know, we try to give everyone these encouraging words and tips, but we know that things are really difficult. So kind of start small and grow from there, but allow yourself the grace that you or your family need, you know, during this time.
I agree. And it is really tough. And that's why we need to pray and be there for each other. And I think, too, for some of us, a good hard conversation with ourselves is cool, too. I have a friend that just got out of prison, and it's tough right now. And, you know, how is he going to get hired? Who's going to be there for him? And the conversation we had, because I love him, was, okay, so what? This is an opportunity. You got time on your hands. What are we going to do?
That's right.
You know, you could go to automotive school. You could, what? You know, because at the end of the day, I believe in him. And I think if we hold each other accountable like we believe in them, it's different than, you know, because I'll sit and cry with them. I'll sit and we can do all that. But after, I still going to get up and I'm going to believe in you. And
that's right.
What we going to do? And so, yeah, for everyone, I'm just really trying to encourage because it's really tough. But everyone out there knows that they have it within them, whatever that is. And just to make the most of this time. Just make the most of the time in between, you know, bad thoughts, in between feeling down, in between being hungry, in between having a good time. Just just make the most of the time. And hopefully, that's my tip. But definitely, you said it. Take it easy on yourself. Love yourself. Check on those around you. Spend some time talking on the phone like we used to when you get in trouble, talking on three-way. Another girl be on there listening to you. But get back on the phone and talk to some people.
That's right. And Chris, would you give a shout out to Nurse Noelle? She's on the line. She's a nurse on the front lines she's a good friend of mine. She's in the New York area. They tested over 600 people yesterday. She's been working like 12 to 18-hour days. So if you could just shout out the Nurse Noelle and the healthcare workers.
Oh, shout out to Nurse Noelle. Shout out to my cousin Ashley. Shout out to all the healthcare workers that are on the front lines, that have children at home, that go out there and try to help people and families like ourselves and put their families and sacrifice on the line. You guys are the heroes. You guys are the beasts. You guys are what we all admire. And it's not just BS, but it's real when you hear the stories and the terrible stories of families coming in. Right now, it's really, if you really think about it, the nurses are the one that give you comfort. You know, when you go in there, they know the conversation you had in the car on the way up to the hospital. They, when you have an attitude with them, the pillows in here like this, they don't want to just like, okay, I forgive you. I know you cranky right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They pay it forward with their heart. And so thank you to Nurse Noelle and all the nurses out there and all the people on the front line out there.
Absolutely.
We love you and appreciate you.
And lastly, we're going to close it out. I know you're a huge music fan. Everybody might not know that about you, but I was pleasantly surprised at just your knowledge of music and how big of a hip-hop fan you are and just an overall music fan. Give us a song or an album that we can ride out to or listen to during this quarantine.
Wow, okay. I've been listening to just all old Anita Baker, so you can always throw in her old albums. And she retired this year, so you can pay her homage. But new, I was listening to the J Electronica album.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, I've been listening to that a lot. I've been listening to that a lot, working out, and so yeah, just hanging out. And that's it. And any like I said, any Anita Baker, that's good at any time.
I love it. Well, Chris, thank you so much. You need to pull up those old archives of our show and put it on the podcast somewhere. Come on,
brother. You know what? And since you're better than me on this, I'm gonna need to send them to you, and you can just chop them up and do what you, because I'll have it on here messed up. So
I'm dead serious though. I'm gonna hit you. So
okay,
because we have some really amazing shows.
I would definitely get those too. And Shanti, I love you. I love what you're doing, and I know it's being on kind of lockdown by yourself and doing all the things, but you are helping so many people. And sometimes, when you're strong, sometimes unfortunately when you're strong, I believe you have pain to encourage other people because you're gonna get right back to you at that time. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, and do not stop. Keep doing what you're doing. I love you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Love you too. Tell Erica bye, and I hope to see the kids soon.
No doubt. All right. Talk to you soon.